Bismillahi walhamdulillahi assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Today, inshallah, we are starting a very exciting surah, Surah Al Qasas. It's a new surah. We are starting with a detailed account of the story of Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa alayhi salam. We'll try our best to cover from ayah number 1 until 35. But before we do that, we will have a quick introduction of the surah. So this surah is also revealed in Makkah. And the previous surah that we went to, Surah An-Naml, both of these are thought to be revealed at the same time, back to back, by the scholars. This has 88 ayahs. Al Qasas, the word Al Qasas means the story. It is named in ayah number 25 of the surah. And it literally means to translate events in their proper sequence. And we know this is this entire revelation, the Holy Quran, Allah SWT is mentioning all the events of history, all the events of the prophets, also to correct the Torah that was later changed by the Jews, as well as Injil that was later changed by the Christians. So now Quran is correcting all of the facts, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will preserve this until the end of times. So, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah bahad. So, welcome to the class. Thank you for joining. Moving forward, it is revealed during the early period in Makkah, and as I mentioned before, so this is story of Musa alayhi salam with Firaun, also called as Pharaoh in English, who plotted to kill all the male children of the Bani Israel. And then we will get to learn how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam and arranged for him to be brought up in Firaun's own household, who was killing Bani Israel. So Musa alayhi salam was from Bani Israel and he was saved. We will go through this entire story today, inshallah. We will also go through the youth story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and how he ended up killing a man by mistake, the learning out of it, and eventually he had to escape to Madian, his marriage, and then the story of him seeing a fire at Mount Tur and his assignment as a messenger to Firaun from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll also learn during this surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commandment that the revelation of the Quran is his mercy, and a believer should let no one turn him away from it. So we have to stay steadfast once we become Muslims and once we have embraced Islam. So we'll go all through this, inshallah, as we go through the study of the surah. Let's start today's lesson. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, the outcast, the cursed one. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. Ayah number 1. Mim. These are the letters, the starting letters of the surah, and there are many surahs in the Quran, as we went through, that they start with these letters. The meaning of these letters is only known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these have not been revealed. And there are different inferences of different scholars, what could be the meaning and what is the wisdom behind it and all of that. But what we know is the meaning of these letters has not been revealed to us. Ayah number 2. Tilka ayatul kitabil mubin. These are the ayahs, these are the signs of the clear book. This is a clear book. The stats mentioned, the facts that are mentioned in this book are very clear, and they are eliminating any areas of gray or any confusion that were brought in Torah and Injil by the Jews and the Christians respectively. So they changed their books, right? So this Quran is something that is a clear book. There is no doubt in it, and it is only stating the facts and stories as they happened with all the prophets and messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Natlu alayka min naba'i Musa wa Fir'auna bil haqqi liqawmin yu'minun. We recite to you from the news of Musa and Fir'aun in truth for a people who believe. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now we'll go through the ayahs that are coming our way. Imagine this like a narration. Imagine this like a movie unfolding. When the scenes of a movie are being explained, like there was Fir'aun and his chiefs who were the oppressors, and they had millions of Bani Israel, or much larger population of Bani Israel who were their slaves, and how they were oppressing them. So imagine that as a scene, and a narrator if it was a film or a movie, how a narrator is narrating the script of what was happening. And then we will go through different scenes that are happening in different places. The one thing that I wanted to mention here, which is very, very important as well, is the events in the lives of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Musa alayhi salam. We know that there was a significant event that happened when the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated from Makkah to Medina. So this all of us know. The revelations and the surahs that came to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam during his stay in Makkah before migration, those are called the Makkan surahs, right? And then the ones that were revealed after his migration are called the Madani surahs. The period before migration was of suppression, oppression, and Muslims faced, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all his companions, they faced a lot of difficulties, right? And after the Holy Prophet moved to Medina, he established the state of Medina, and that was you can call it the first government of Muslims that was established. And after that, the revelation and the surahs were dealing with how to establish that state of Muslims. What should be the collective norms? What should be how should the society run? What should be the justice system? What should be the social system, economic system? And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam established and showed all of us the way how to do it. So there is one period that is the struggling period before, in which he has to face the chiefs of Makkah, the pagans of Makkah, how they were saying that, no, you're not truthful, and all of this is wrong, and all of this. And then there is a state and direction that came after Medina. Now, if we look at the story of Musa alayhi salam, the way it is similar is that before the parting of the sea, when he made Bani Israel cross that sea, when Allah SWT helped him with that miracle, and all of them crossed the sea, and then the situations and stories that happened later on, you can term it as it was more of the Bani Israel, Allah SWT guiding them as a nation on how to establish themselves. But before that, before the parting of the sea, you see a lot of struggle from Musa alayhi salam. You see a lot of struggle in front of Fir'aun, the story that we went through, how he challenged them in the court, the magicians, and all of those stuff. So that was the opposition phase that Musa alayhi salam faced. So there is a similarity here within the stories that I wanted to highlight for us to understand better. Like we have before migration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after migration, similarly, before the parting of the seas of Musa alayhi salam, and after. Now, in this surah, in today's lesson especially, we will go through the before part. We will of Musa alayhi salam's story. When he was born, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him, and then eventually how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him a messenger, and how he went up to challenge Fir'aun. So let's start. Inna fir'auna ala fil ardi wa ja'ala ahlaha shi'a'an yastaz'ifu ta'ifatan minhum yuzabbihu abna'ahum wa yastahyi nisa'ahum innahu kana minal mufsidin. Now, as I was saying, let's imagine it like a scene unfolding in front of us. Indeed, Fir'aun exalted himself in the land. So he became the most powerful ruler. The law at that land was whatever Fir'aun will say will happen. And he made its people into sects. So Shia, the word that you see here, Shia, it's not referring to the Shiites Muslim of today. It basically means sects, or a segment of people, or a separate group of people. So what Fir'aun did was, and we can call them, let's say, Bani Israel and Egyptians. So Egyptians were the people who were following Fir'aun and his own, let's say, nation or group of people who were ruling. And then they were the Bani Israels who were the oppressed one, and they were seen as second-grade citizens within the society. So that's how he established himself. And we have to understand a rule: for a smaller group to establish themselves on a larger population, they have to make this difference. Otherwise, that large population, if they are allowed to mix in a society, then they can become part of the society, and then eventually it can threaten the rule of that smaller group of people. So this is exactly what Pharaoh did. He exalted himself in the land and made its people into sects. So he divided. He said, we are Egyptians, we are the ruling class, we are the elite. And then there are these Bani Israels who are lesser than us, and they started to suppress them and oppress them and inflict cruelty of the extreme nature. Like, for example, they used to kill their sons and slaughter their sons and only leave their daughters for humiliation. So, and of course, killing of the sons means that they wanted to completely eliminate Bani Israel. So, Pharaoh exalted himself in the land and made its people into sects, oppressing a group among them, slaughtering their sons and letting live their women. This was Bani Israel being oppressed by Pharaoh, chiefs, and the Egyptians. Let's call them that way. Innahu kana min al-mufsidin. Indeed, he was of the corrupters. He was one of the most corrupt people. Allah SWT had given him power and he was using it in the most abusive way. So in order to visualize this, we can look at this set of images. Pharaoh exalted himself in the land. So this is Pharaoh that you see depicted on the left. He divided people in sects to suppress one of them, who was Bani Israel. So these are the slaves that you can see here on the bottom right. And then these are the people of Pharaoh who are trying to suppress them. And as we learned in the previous ayah, they were killing their sons and only letting their daughters live. So this was the time in which Musa alayhi salam was born. And of course, he was from Bani Israel. So there was a threat to his life that if the Pharaoh and his army and his people, if they found out about him, then probably he will also get killed like other sons of Bani Israel. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a plan. So let's go through that. Yeah, there is one more thing here that I wanted to highlight. When people are divided into sects or group, so this is being done to suppress them, right? The lesson that we take from this is that when we are divided, we can easily be suppressed. You know the example of the stick. And when we are united as Muslim Ummah, then it is difficult to break us. This is something that we can take from a lesson from this story, the way Pharaoh used to rule over them. So who can tell me the story of the stick? Who knows this concept about sticks, individual sticks and a bundle of sticks? Anybody can recall? You can unmute yourself and share. Yes, Aziz, go ahead. You have your hand raised.
I think it's like one stick is very, very easy to break, so it's weak. But then if you group 2 or 3 sticks together, it becomes harder to break. And then if you group many sticks together, it becomes almost impossible to break with your hands.
Jazakallah khairan, Aziz. What does that mean for us? What's the implication of this?
So it's an analogy for Muslims. Like when Muslims are united, when a single Muslim is easy to like break, in the sense like go over or just leave him behind or defeat. But then many Muslims, when they are united together, tightly packed, and they all have the same goal, then it's impossible to break them.
Jazakallah khairan. Excellent. This was answer. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? What do you guys think? Agree, disagree? Okay. So, yes, Jazakallah khairan, Aziz. This is indeed the answer. And this is the learning. And you can take it for Muslims as one ummah. Yes, if we are united, then it is very difficult to break. You can take it in different parts of life as well, right? So there are companies where labor unions are not allowed. What is a labor union? There are, when a lot of employees, a lot of labor, especially in factories and all, when they join together and they have a representative and they say all of us will take actions together, and it is to influence the management. So a single employee going and complaining versus, imagine if there are 100 employees in a factory, hundreds of them making the same complaint together. So it's a different way of negotiation. So individuals obviously are weak. However, when they form a cohesive group, they can be strong, and you can apply this example in multiple areas of life. And yes, the biggest and the most important is for the Muslims to combine as one ummah and see interests of all Muslims. This way, it is very, very difficult to break versus having different smaller groups or smaller elements where it is very easy to influence them. So this is one of the lessons for us coming out of the way Pharaoh was managing and oppressing Bani Israel. Moving forward. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And we wanted to bestow a favor upon those who were oppressed in that land and make them the leaders and make them the inheritors. So basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining the unfolding of the plan of how Musa alayhi salam will lead Bani Israel to lead. Now, if you imagine a very powerful ruler who is the Pharaoh, he has his chiefs, he has his army, they are controlling and oppressing Bani Israel, and they are killing all their sons. So anyone they find, even the newborn babies, they are killing them. So if you imagine from the worldly standpoint, one can think, how will this happen? How will this situation change? How come the Bani Israel, who are the weakest, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will establish them? How will they become the inheritance? So this is the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does something, he can do impossible things as well, right? And those things that seem difficult for us in front of our eyes in this world from a worldly standpoint, when we connect the dots and when we use our brain, how is it possible? Those are not impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything is possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And this is the case that we even saw when he enabled the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to establish that state of Medina, and in a very short time, he established that state, the Muslim state, and he showed us the way, and he completely revolutionized the way people were living their lives, the way they were dressing, thinking, eating collectively, running government, doing justice. All of the things were done. If somebody were to ask that, can one person with small number of companions oppressed in Makkah will be able to regain Makkah with a conquest, the greatest conquest of Makkah, win battles versus much more powerful enemies? Someone would say, no, it is not possible in this world, right? Because we are thinking from our own limited, this worldly resources point of view. However, when we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, there's nothing impossible for him, and he can make things happen. And this is how this story is also unfolding. And remember, this is unfolding in the early Meccan period of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are going through the same struggle. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also reassuring them that similarly, the people were oppressed and all of that, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unfolded the events and made them victorious. So similarly, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to make them victorious as well. So he wanted to bestow a favor upon those who were oppressed in the land and make them leaders and make them the inheritors. وَنُمَكِّنَ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنُرِيَا فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا مِنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَحْذَرُونَ. And we established them in the land and show Pharaoh and Haman. So Pharaoh, we know, was the Pharaoh, the chief, the king. Haman was one of his very strong, it is said to be ministers or general who was part of with him, and their hosts, through them, what they were fearing. So you need to imagine one thing: when a smaller group of people are oppressing a larger population, they're always fearful as well. They are fearful of an uprising. They're fearful of being taken over, which is why they keep on suppressing them, being more and more cruel to keep on suppressing them so that there is no uprising. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and we established them in the land. So Bani Israel was established, and show Pharaoh and Haman and their hosts through them what they were fearing. So eventually their fear came on their face and they were not able to overcome it. And Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salam was made victorious. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَرْضِعِهِ. Now the scene is changing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already established Pharaoh, his army, his people, suppressing Bani Israel. Now we go to the mother of Musa alayhi salam. Again, remember, the time is when they're killing all the babies of Bani Israel. And we inspired to the mother of Musa that suckle him. Now, this is very, very important. Musa alayhi salam's mother was not a prophet, yet she got a revelation from Allah SWT as an inspiration. So we need to understand one thing, that there are non-prophetic revelations that are given to people as a way of Allah SWT to make them act and influence. The way they feel it, they get this idea and then they think it's a good idea and they feel that contentment in their heart, right? So Allah SWT inspired the mother of Musa alayhi salam to feed him. Now there can be multiple reasons, because when a child is born, he's crying. Imagine soldiers moving outside of the house trying to find if there's a baby so that we can kill them, right? This was the case when Musa alayhi salam was born. So she was afraid. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her to suckle him, to feed him. Because when a baby is fed, he remains a little bit quiet as well, right? So we inspired the mother of Musa alayhi salam to feed him. And there is another reason why this feeding happened, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will see it later, that will come in, wanted to program Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam was just a baby. So he was introduced this feeding of her mother, so that later on he could not be fed by other women who were destined in the castle of Pharaoh. And we'll go through that. But you need to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired his mother to feed him. فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. But when you fear for him, then cast him into the river, and do not fear and do not grieve. Now imagine if somebody tells someone, or a mother especially, that you have to put your child in a basket and then just let him go into the river. Of course, she will not be able to do it, because a mother, regardless of all the dangers, she would always feel that, no, I will protect him, and no, throwing him in the river means almost he will drown. What if somebody eats? What if a crocodile comes and eats him? And a lot of things can go in your mind. However, we need to understand that this inspiration is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's the one guiding the mother of Musa alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked her to feed him. Yet still, if you fear, because obviously the soldiers are there and the baby can cry and they can come in any time, and when you fear for his life, then to save him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired to his mother, Musa alayhi salam's mother, that you place him in a basket and then you let him go into the river at that point in time. And one thing we need to imagine, of course, the Pharaoh's the castle where he was living was somewhere obviously distant, and these people, maybe they had their own houses in the suburb, and there would be a river stream that would be running down. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a plan that we will see how it unfolds. So cast him into the river and do not fear and do not grieve. So this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also reassuring her to do. Inna ra'aduhu ilayki waja'iluhu minal mursaleen. Indeed, we will restore him to you and we will make him of the messengers. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying we will bring him back to you. So you will be again joined with him. At that point in time, she didn't know, because she was letting the baby go into the river. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also made that feeling in her heart that she would be content that yes, we will again make you, bring you together. فَالْتَقَطَهُ آلُ فِرْعَوْنَ لِيَكُونَ لَهُمْ عَدُوًّا وَحَزَنًا. Then picked him up the family of Pharaoh, so that he might become to them an enemy and a grief. Now we need to understand what happened is, so Musa alayhi salam's basket was going through the river, and it reached and it went closer to the castle. And in the castle, obviously the river, when it was coming, I'm sure there would be a stream and there would be a place where they could look around. And there was the wife of Pharaoh, Hazrat Askia, Salamun alayha, she was sitting there, and then she saw a baby in a basket over there. So it's like, imagine the river stream flowing into the castle, passing by into beautiful streams as well. And then she just looked into the in that river, and she found something, and immediately she became curious. And of course, she asked the guards to see what is there and bring it to her. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, then picked him up the family of Pharaoh. This is how she picked him up, so that he might become to them an enemy and a grief. Eventually, Musa alayhi salam will rise against Pharaoh, right? This is what we know. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, eventually he would become the enemy and grief for them. Inna Fir'auna وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا كَانُوا خَاطِئِينَ. Indeed, Firaun and Haman and their hosts were sinners. So this was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way to protect Musa alayhi salam within the castle of Firaun, and eventually he would become an enemy to them. And because Firaun, Haman, and all their hosts, they were sinners, they were inflicting severe oppression on Bani Israel. وَقَالَتِ امْرَأَةُ فِرْعَوْنَ قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ. And said the wife of Firaun, a comfort of the eye for me and for you. So what happened is, when she received this basket, of course, the boy, the color from the skin and everything, you could tell that he's from Bani Israel. So she picked up the boy, and the boy was would have been called, and maybe the Firaun got to know that there's a boy who's there. So eventually they wanted to kill him as well. However, the wife of Firaun, she put up a case. She put up a case in front of Firaun, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instilled the love of Musa alayhi salam and the look of Musa alayhi salam into her heart. So she felt, so she really felt that the baby is so cute, and she immediately felt that longing and a sense of belonging to him. And she showed to Firaun, because obviously they would have been in order to kill the boy, whatever, but she wanted to make a plea to him that the boy is like a comfort to my eye. He looks so pleasing to me. And she said, and for you too, La taqtulu, do not kill him. So this is the request that she made him. Asa ay yanfa'ana aw nattakhizahu waladan wa hum la yash'urun. She said, perhaps that he may benefit us, or we may take him as a son, and that they did not perceive. So she's saying that we don't know how he can benefit for us. Can we take him, please, as a son? He looks so pleasing, and he's like a comfort to my eyes. Wa asbaha fu'adu ummi Musa farigha, and became the heart of the mother of Musa empty. Now here again the same change of scene. Now we go back to the mother of Musa alayhi salam, who's now really like worried, and her heart is empty, meaning she's really worried and thinking what is happening to her child. In kadat latubdi bihi lawla rabatna ala qalbiha litakuna min al-mu'minin. That she was near to disclosing about him, if not that we had strengthened over her heart, so that she would be of the believers. So what happened is, she was feeling really worried, and she could have told this thing to other people, like their neighbors and everything, of course, because there would be people around her, right? So she could have disclosed it. Oh my God, my baby is in the river. Maybe somebody protect him, whatever. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here that we strengthen the heart of her heart. Otherwise, she would have been, she would have probably told this secret to all. The other important point to understand is, her heart is strengthened so that she would be of the believers. Eventually, she'll be reunited with Musa alayhi salam, we know that, and she became one of the firm believers. And this was very important for the upbringing of Musa alayhi salam. So there is Asiya salamun alayha in the castle, who has taken over control of Musa alayhi salam. She is like his stepmother. And his original mother also will be reunited, and we will see that. So both of them are very strong believers, and this was a setup from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the upbringing of Musa alayhi salam. وَقَالَتْ لِأُخْتِهِ قُدْسِيهِ, and she said to his sister, follow him. Now, the mother, her heart was getting worried, so she asked Musa alayhi salam's sister to follow him along the river. So now imagine a river that is going in, and obviously the girl, she had to follow him so that nobody also else notices the box as well, right? فَبَصُرَتْ بِهِ أَنْ جُنُوبٍ وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. So she asked his sister to follow him. So she watched him from a distance while they do not perceive. She kept a distance. She was not like on the bank of the river looking at the basket so that other people also notice, oh, there's a basket and there's a baby, and maybe some of the people who were patrolling there in the army, they could have checked that there is a baby and probably killed him or something. So she was very smart. She was watching him and following him, and in a way that people don't get to realize that there is something that the girl is really watching. She just kept moving around, playing maybe, and having sort of that eye when you have that peripheral vision and you're looking at someone. So that's how she was looking and trying to follow the basket. وحرمنا عليه المراضع من قبل فقالت هل أدلكم على أهل بيت يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. And we have forbidden for him the wet nurses before she said, shall I direct you to the people of a house who will rear him for you while they to him will be sincere. Now, what happened is the child had already reached, Musa alayhi salam had reached the castle, and of course he was supposed to be fed. So there are wet nurses, there are women in the castle who are there, who their job is to feed, right? So they were asked to feed Musa alayhi salam. However, he rejected their milk. Allah SWT saying, and we had forbidden for him the wet nurses before. And how we saw earlier in the surah that his original mother was asked to feed him. So that's how Allah SWT programmed the baby, because even, a newborn baby cannot even open up his eyes and see and everything. So for him to recognize the original milk of his mother, Allah SWT asked her to feed him. That's how he got programmed. And now in the castle, he was refusing the milk of every wet nurse and he was crying. Now, the little girl had almost reached the castle following the basket, and she knew that he had been picked up. So she went there, and when they would be, let's say, Asiyah Salamun alayha, the wife of Pharaoh, when she sent people to find out to get a wet nurse, any other wet nurse, so that they can offer the milk to Musa alayhi salam, because he was crying. So they would have reached this little girl who was obviously following in a way that she is not caught. And then she mentioned to those people that, shall I direct you to the people of a house who will rear him for you while they will be very sincere. She did not say, it's my brother or my mother will take. No, she was really smart. Even the little girls were smart. So she said, let me take you to a house, and maybe, they will, they can help you, or there is a female who can help you. فرددناه إلى أمه كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن ولتعلم أن وعد الله حق ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. So we restored him to his mother that he might be comforted, her eye might be comforted, and she may not grieve. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the original mother of Musa alayhi salam close to him. So she was brought to the castle, she was made to feed. Of course, Musa alayhi salam recognized, and then he started feeding. And that's how it was like she got a permanent job, and her family also moved and everything in the castle. So now even his brother Harun alayhi salam would probably be, we can assume that he was safe, and because the entire family was safe. And there was a verdict from Pharaoh, although they were from Bani Israel, but there was a verdict from Pharaoh because of his wife Asiyah Salamun alayha, that these people should not be touched, and obviously this boy will not be killed and everything. So their family was protected, everybody joined together, and now they were living in comfort. And imagine, this is an amazing solution that the mother of Musa alayhi salam would never have thought about or could have planned, right? All of this is inspired and revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and planned as well. Because even if she could have saved the boy or moved out a little bit or changed places, she would always be afraid army might come, anyone might come, and they would just take the child away, or they will kill the child away. So this was a plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring up Musa alayhi salam in a time when all the kids and babies of his entire nation were being killed and massacred by that army. So this is how he was brought up as a Bani Israel child, although within the castle of Pharaoh, who was the biggest enemy of Bani Israel. Sir, how can Harun alayhi salam survive Pharaoh? There's a question. Now this entire family is under the protection of Pharaoh. So Harun alayhi salam, who was a brother of Musa alayhi salam, was also, sorry, I'm just hearing some noise. I will mute. Yeah. So he was also part of that family. So that entire family was granted protection, because obviously they were giving a favor. The mother of Musa alayhi salam was seen as giving a favor. So obviously they could not hurt her family and everything else. So that's how both of them were protected. Moving forward, the promise of Allah is true, but most of them do not know. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, and this is, but we cannot decipher, we cannot understand. So even in our lives, I mean, this is an amazing lesson. Sometimes we are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something, we really want something, but we need to understand that there is a way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan unfolds that we may not see. We may say, oh my God, what is happening? And this should not happen and that should not happen. This is based on our own judgment. However, there is a big plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that unfolds, for which we have to patiently wait. Moving forward. وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ وَاسْتَوَى آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. And when he reached his full strength and became mature, we bestowed upon him wisdom and knowledge. This is about Musa alayhi salam. So he was brought up in that family and he reached his full strength. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him knowledge and wisdom. وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And thus we reward the good doers. وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينِ غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رُجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ. Now what happened is, this is one of the stories. Now Musa alayhi salam was amongst his youth. So he entered the city. The castle was away from the city, and let's say there was a city center, the hub of everything. He entered the city at the time of afternoon, inattention. So usually, there's a time of afternoon when people are resting usually. Even, I mean, today, if you go to any place like a mall or a shop, it's the lowest time, afternoon, right? So he entered the city because he was already worried. It wasn't like he was living in a castle, so he was all, happy and, I'm well taken care of. No, he wanted to find out if there's something wrong, if he can help someone in the city. So Musa alayhi salam, young, strong, he went to the city at a time when, it was a low time. People were probably resting, most of the people. And he found there were two people who were fighting each other. One of the person was from the ruling side, the Egyptian side, you can say, and the other person was amongst the Bani Israel. So obviously Musa alayhi salam thought in his mind that the guy who's amongst the Bani Israel, he is the one who is being oppressed, and the other person is the cruel one. Because this was a psyche, this was what was happening in the nation all around, right? Haza min shi'atihi wa haza min adubi. So one of them was of his party and one of them was the enemy. فَاسْتَغَاثَهُ الَّذِي مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ عَلَى الَّذِي مِنْ أَدُوبِهِ. And called him for the help, the one who was from his party against the one who was from his enemy. So now the guy who was Bani Israel, he looked at Musa alayhi salam, and you would have seen the features, the color of the skin, the tone and everything. He asked for help. And he asked for a desperate help. Oh, please help me. This guy is about to kill me, or this guy is fighting me. That's how he asked for help. فَوَكَزُهُ. So Musa struck him with his fist. فَوَكَزُهُ كَذَهُ Musa فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ. So Musa alayhi salam struck him with his fist and killed him. Now Musa alayhi salam is strong. The other person, the other guy whom he was trying to maybe defend, his intention was not of killing him. But the other guy, maybe he was a bit frail or weak, or he had something, but he just received a punch in his chest and he died on the spot. قَالَ هَذَا مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. So immediately the first thing that came from Musa alayhi salam, this is indeed the work of shaitan. This was not my intention to kill him, but this has happened. And now, of course, there will be a huge cry and all of this. So here, the first words that came from his mouth were, indeed, this is a way of shaitan. Innahu adumwum mudhillum mubin. Indeed, he is an enemy and the one who misleads clearly. And he realized his mistake. Musa alayhi salam did not want to kill that guy, but he realized his mistake, that maybe this is the work of shaitan, and he's the one who wants to mislead and not drive clarity. Qala rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi faghfir li. Now immediately what he said was, my Lord, he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my Lord, indeed I have wronged my soul, so forgive for me. فَغَفَرَ لَهُ. Then he forgave for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately forgave him because he knew it was not his intention. So Musa alayhi salam is well educated. He has all the knowledge. And there is a stream of revelations that are also coming during his time. And before, there were several prophets in Bani Israel. So he was well versed. He knew what he had to do. He had committed a crime. He immediately went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he asked that I have wronged my soul, so forgive me. then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him. So there was no court at that point in time. There was no justice system at that point in time that was really just. All the Bani Israel were being oppressed. So he knew there is no point of going to the court, no point of going to the police or the army. They will say, oh, so somebody killed the Bani Israel guy, killed from, our guys, and they would all be unreasonable. The only court he knew was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He immediately went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and prayed to him for forgiveness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately forgave him because he knew his intentions. Innahu huwal ghafur rahim. Indeed, he is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forgiving, the most merciful. So one of the lessons that comes to us as well from this is, when you make a mistake and you realize your mistake, immediately seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very, very important. And this is an amazing dua or prayer or supplication that we learned from Musa alayhi salam. Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi faghfirli. My Lord, indeed I have wronged myself, I have wronged my soul, so forgive me. The waswasa of shaitan is different. Once you do a bad thing, he tells you, oh, you're so bad. How can you even go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Forget the prayer, forget the prayer. Continue doing. Continue watching the video, whatever you're doing. Whatever shameful thing that you do, just keep on doing. You cannot go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, you're not that pure. You're so guilty. The problem is, this is the waswasa of shaitan to make you arrogant and to make you more go into the cycle of sins. We have discussed this multiple times. As soon as we make a mistake, we have to go to in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Regardless of how you are leading your life, you have to pray 5 times a day. It's mandatory. And every time you go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in prayer, you know if you have done wrong, you can seek forgiveness. And that also enables you to change your way, right? So you're going in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows your heart. He knows what you're doing. He knows if you're making a mistake. So there is some element of guilt there. So keep on going, keep on praying, and keep on asking for forgiveness. And of course, try your best not to repeat the mistake. And we will see from the story of Musa alayhi salam how he stopped himself from repeating the mistake. When you make a mistake, immediately seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a clear action for us learning from Musa alayhi salam. Moving forward. قال ربي بما أنعمت علي فلن أكون ظهيرا للمجرمين. He said, my Lord, because you have favored on me, so I will not be a supporter of the criminal. So now this is a promise that he is making to himself, and then he will make amends to in the following days. In the following story, sorry. فأصبح في المدينة خائفا يترقب فإذا الذي استنصره بالأمس يستصرخه. Now this time he again went to the city, Musa alayhi salam, in the morning time. So at that point in time, no one had seen him, and there were only 2 people, and that incident had happened. Again, he went during daytime now, not in the afternoon. So here the place and the city was hustling and bustling, and all of the things were happening, right? In the morning, he was in the city, fearful and was vigilant, when behold, the one who sought his help the previous day cried out to him for help. So the same guy from the Bani Israel who asked for his help the day before was again in a fight with someone else. So he was actually doing the mischief. So Musa alayhi salam, in the first day, of course, he did not get the time to comprehend or whatever, and he just punched the other guy just to help this guy. However, this time, the same guy is now asking for his help again. قَالَ لَهُ مُوسَى إِنَّكَ لَغَوِيٌّ مُبِينٌ. Said to him Musa, indeed, you surely are a deviator clear. You are the one who are the mischief maker. You are the one who has the problem. Now Musa alayhi salam knew and he understood the situation. فَلَمَّا أَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَبْتِشَ بِالَّذِي هُوَ عَدُوٌّ لَهُمَا. Then when that he wanted to strike the one who he was an enemy to both of them. Now, this guy was trying to force Musa alayhi salam to help him and strike the other guy because he has seen what had happened the other day. So he was forcing Musa alayhi salam to do that. قال يا موسى أتريد أن تقتلني كما قتلت نفسا بالأمس. He said, oh Musa, do you intend to kill me as you killed a person yesterday? So now Musa alayhi salam did not help, and Musa alayhi salam charged the other guy. This guy, same guy, Bani Israel guy, that you are the one who's wrong, you are the one who's mischief maker. Now this guy realized that Musa alayhi salam is not helping me and he's strong. So now he tried to push Musa alayhi salam by almost like blackmailing him. And now he's saying, oh, so now Musa, you intend to kill me as you killed a person yesterday. He's trying to tell people that this guy is a killer as well, because Musa alayhi salam was not helping him. In turidu, إلا أن تكون جبارا في الأرض وما تريد أن تكون من المصلحين. You do not want but that you become a tyrant in the earth, and you want not that you be of the reformers. So this guy is now blaming Musa alayhi salam that you want to be tyrant, you don't want to help people, and you killed a guy yesterday as well. وَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْعَى. And came a man from the furthest end of the city running. So there was a man who was also coming, and he came in running to Musa alayhi salam. قَالَ يَا مُوسَى إِنَّ الْمَلَأَ يَأْتَمِرُونَ بِكَ لِيَقْتُلُوكَ فَخْرُجْ إِنِّي لَكَ مِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. And came a man from the furthest end of the city running. He said, O Musa, indeed the chiefs are taking counsel about you to kill you. So leave, indeed I am to you of a sincere advisors. Now what was happening is, there were chiefs within the court of Pharaoh. Of course, Pharaoh and his wife, they wanted to protect Musa alayhi salam, and Allah SWT had, made wahi to them and inspired to their hearts so that they had that love of Musa alayhi salam. However, we need to understand that there were other chiefs and there were other people in the court of Pharaoh who may not like Musa alayhi salam, who may not like a Bani Israel sort of a guy built with their color and with their skin walking around in the palace and everything else. So as soon as they heard about this story, what had happened, they started to plan and to kill Musa alayhi salam. So there was a guy who came in running and gave him news that, oh Musa, you need to run away because there's a conspiracy that is being hatched against you amongst the chiefs of Pharaoh. فَخَرَجَ مِنْهَا خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبُ. So he left from it fearing and vigilant. So now Musa alayhi salam started leaving that place and started to make his way out of the city. قَالَ رَبِّي نَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Again he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. He said, my Lord, save me from the people who are wrongdoers, and he started to run away. وَلَمَّا تَوَجَّهَ تِلْقَاءَ مَدْيَنَ قَالَ أَسَى رَبِّي أَنْ يَهْدِيَنِي سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ. Now he went on running from that place, and there is it's a very difficult travel to move from that place. And imagining Musa alayhi salam was on foot, or maybe he had a camel or something, we don't know this. However, he had to take that journey, and now it's a long journey that he's taking. And when he turned his face towards Madian, he said, perhaps my Lord will guide me to a sound way. And he started walking towards Madian, and now he's like a traveler who is reaching Madian in a very, because it's a long journey. Obviously, he would have carried whatever food he could carry, and he was managing whatever with his clothes that he was wearing. So he almost reached Madian in a torn way, in a very difficult circumstances, and he kept on praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help and mercy. وَلَمَّا وَرَدَ مَاءَ مَدِيَنَ وَجَدَ عَلَيْهِ أُمَّةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ يَسْقُونَ. And when he came to the water of Madian, he found on it a group of men watering. So there was a place where he saw some water. Obviously, he was traveling from a long way in a shattered situation. So he came in, he would have drank some water, and he saw a group of men feeding water to their cattle. So they had their own cattle, and they were feeding water to them. وَوَجَدَ مِن دُونِهِمْ رَأَتَيْنِ تَذُودَانِ قَالَ مَا خَطْبُكُمَا. So what happened is, they were men watering, and he found besides them two women keeping back. He said, what is the matter to both of you? So there were two females. They had their own cattle, but they did not get a chance to feed their cattle because there were men who had surrounded that place. Now Musa alayhi salam asked them, what is the matter? Why are you not feeding your cattle? قَالَتَا لَا نَسْقِي حَتَّى يُصْدِرَ الرِّعَاء. They said, we cannot water until the shepherds move away. Until these men move away their cattle, we are waiting for them to move away so that we get a chance and we also water our cattle. وَأَبُونَا شَيْخٌ كَبِيرٌ. And they said, and our father is a very old man, so it's not like he can come with us to water the cattle. He's very weak and old, so probably he's resting at home. We are the only two ladies in the house, and we are trying to give water to our cattle. However, we are waiting for these men to go away. Of course, they cannot force them. They were females, to move, make space for them. فَسَقَى لَهُمَا ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى إِلَى الظِّلِّ فَقَالَ رَبِّي إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٌ. So he watered for them, then he turned back to the shade and said, my Lord, indeed I am of whatever you sent to me of good in need. Now, Musa alayhi salam helped them to do the to feed water. So he just made space. Obviously, Musa alayhi salam, we know, was well built and everything else. He asked the men to move and got the kettle of those two females, and he gave water and everything else, and he gave the kettle back to females. And then he came to a shade and a resting place, and he was obviously tired. As he reached there, he drank some water, but then he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his mercy, and he said that I'm really in need for whatever goodness, for anything that you can send my way. Now, when Musa alayhi salam helped the woman at the water well, at the place where there was, he did not ask anything from them. He did not ask, okay, can you give me some food or some money or something, so that because I'm helping you to do the kettle's work. Because imagine if a normal person, like, in these times today, if one of us are, we are in that situation, and we see that we are about to help someone, we will ask them, do you have any food or something? He will ask them. It's natural. But he did not do that. What do you guys think about this? Who can tell me? So even after helping the woman at water well, Musa alayhi salam did ask them for anything. Why is that? Aziz, your hand is raised. Go ahead. And
Because his intentions were pure, like he helped them just for the sake of helping them, not for anything in return. That's why I didn't ask for anything. It shows his intentions are pure, in the sense that he just wanted to help the two women to get the water.
excellent. Jazakallah khairan. Amir, Hadi, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
This also proves that why prophets are different from normal people, that the pious people of Allah, and that's why he had a pure intention. That's why I didn't ask anything from them. This differentiates prophets from normal people.
Jazakallah khairan. Yes, excellent answer, Amir. And we have been asked to learn from the prophets, right? So the sunnah of the prophets. So for us, this is an inspiration as well. And there are people in our times who also do it. Because if we look at it from that way, oh, because he was a prophet and he was so high and he was protected by Allah and everything else, yes, that is a way. And you're right, 100%. But prophets, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Adam alayhi salam, all of the prophets who came here, they are all a source of inspiration for us, and we need to take lessons and try to implement them to the best of our abilities as well. There was one more hand raised. Or Syed, you were about to say something?
He did it just because, like, just to get good deeds. He didn't want anything
Yes.
other than.
Excellent. Jazakumullah khairan to all three of you, Aziz, Saeed. Thank you so much. And Amir as well. So all three of you are right. Jazakumullah khairan. The thing is, the most important thing to understand is that even in that toughest of situation, Musa alayhi salam is relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He immediately prayed. He came back, helped the females, and then he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sought goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of everything, every goodness. All the other things, all the other people are like agents or network who can help and who does that. So an action for us as well is that we have to rely only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek help and protection from him. And yes, we can use the network of people all around us. We can use the resources that are all around us. We can manage our way through it. It cannot be that we now start sitting in isolation and we say, okay, fine, now we are relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and everything will come at our doorstep and everything. No, we have to move around. We have to make effort. We have to work with people, and we will see how to work even with people. And as a team, there's a lesson that is coming again from Musa alayhi salam. We will touch base on it, inshallah, today as well. So the point is, he wanted the benefit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he sought all goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will see how it will come and it will unfold. So this is an amazing lesson for us as well, to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, yes, we can use the network and people around us, the resources around us in this world. But in our mind, we should be clear, everything is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first entity whom we need to ask is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first source for us for goodness. So what happened after that? فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. Then came to him one of the two women walking with shyness. So these women, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also explaining to us that these were the two women. They were of high moral, good character, and they came in with shyness because obviously they were talking to a stranger male. So one of them, they came to him. قالت إن أبي يدعوك ليجزيك أجرا ما سقيت لنا. She said, indeed, my father calls you that he may reward you the reward for what you watered for us. So now this is the goodness that came from Allah SWT. He did not, Musa alayhi salam did not even have to ask them. She came to him and said that, thank you so much for helping us watering our cattle. My father wants to have a conversation with you and maybe reward you for what you did. فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ وَقَصَّ عَلَيْهِ الْقَصَصِ. So when he came to him and narrated to him the story, so now Musa alayhi salam came to their father, and then he would have asked from where you are coming, what has happened, and then he told him the entire story. قَالَ لَا تَخَفْ. So he said, the father of the girls told Musa alayhi salam, do not fear. نَجَوْتَ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. You have escaped from the people who are wrongdoers. He understood the situation, what was happening with Bani Israel over there in Egypt and everything. Musa alayhi salam explained him. Now they are in Madian. He said, it's great that you have now escaped from the people who are wrongdoers. You don't need to worry about it. قالت إحداهما يا أبتي يا أبت استأجره. Said one of them, oh my father, hire him. So now this conversation is happening between the daughter and the father, and maybe now the daughter is suggesting to the father, why don't we hire him? Because this problem always continues to have, that when we are about to we want to water our cattle, and maybe for other stuff as well, they were facing difficulties because there is no man, and in those societies obviously the role of men was really important. So she said, oh my father, hire him. Inna khayra man ista'jartal qawiyyul ameen. Indeed, the best of whom you can hire is a strong and trustworthy. He looks like trustworthy. He did not even ask. He is not greedy, and he is strong, so he can help us in many ways. Maybe we should hire them. That was a suggestion that came from the daughter. قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني ثمانية حجج. He said, indeed, I wish to you to marry one of my daughters. Now, the father of the daughters, obviously, he realizes that this person has to, now, if I want to hire him, he'll be staying close to us. So he offered one of his daughters in marriage to Musa alayhi salam. And he said, I want you to marry one of my daughters of these two, and that you serve me for 8 years. فَإِنْ أَتْمَمْتَ أَشْرًا فَمِنْ عِنْدِكَ. But if you complete 10 years, then from you, this is something really better for me. So look at the way he is offering. He's saying that you can stay with us here and you marry one of my daughters, and then you stay here with us 8 years, or if you wish, if you can manage for 10 years. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَشُقَّ عَلَيْكَ. And I do not wish to make it difficult for you. Look at the beautiful way of suggesting a proposal. So he's saying, ideally you should stay 10 years with me, but at least 8 years. And if you stay 10 years, it will be better, but I don't want to force it upon you. Satajiduni insha'Allahu minas salihin. You will find me, if Allah wills, of the righteous. This is a beautiful way of starting to make a contract, right? So he's suggesting a few points to Musa alayhi salam, and it's like a contract that they're about to enter. And the way he's saying it is, he's not making it difficult. He's not saying, so look at him, he's torn, worn out and everything. Maybe he's in need of food and clothes and plates. So, let me squeeze it completely out of him and you will do what I want to say. He's not trying to exploit the situation of Musa alayhi salam. He's suggesting to him a contractual, let's say, points in a way that are so nice. And he also mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, inshaAllah, you will find me amongst Salihin. Usaid, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
This father was Prophet Shoaib alayhi salam, right?
Yes, so this is something that is mentioned by the scholars, but I just thought that I would stick with the knowledge in Islam. But yes, in some of the tafasirs, you also find that. Okay. All right. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, you will find me amongst the righteous. Qala dhalika bayni wa baynak. He said that this is between me and between you. Ayyamal ajalaini qadaytu fala udwana alayya. this is between me and you. Whichever of the two terms I complete, then there should be no injustice to me. Now, this is a response from Musa alayhi salam. He's saying, thank you for the offer. Yes, this is like a contract between us, and I will honor the contract. However, I want you to be lenient. Please don't bind me to either 8 years or 10 years. Whatever is easier for me, please make it. I would try to do my best. This is what Musa alayhi salam is saying. Wallahu ala ma naqulu wakil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a witness over what we say. This is a very powerful statement to say. When you make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a witness over a contract. And this is something that I just wanted to discuss very quickly as well. Today, when contracts are done, both parties want to squeeze each other. You may have heard the word negotiation. He's a great negotiator. He can get in clauses. You see, when you're about to sign a contract, there's a long list of agreement contracts, especially with the banks, small font, 50 pages. You don't even know, just to open account. They're trying to put in everything. They're trying to slide in clauses so that later on you cannot say anything to them. And a lot of things, these things happen, right? And they are being forced into contracts. However, this is not how the Muslims are supposed to do a contract. Today, both two parties, they're trying to squeeze each other. They're trying to put in their own favorable clauses so that at the end of it, if none of them is able to do the contract or they want to move out of it, it is easy for them. But this is not how Muslims are supposed to do the contract. The action, there's an amazing action that is coming for us. Muslims should go easy on each other in contracts. Yes, you should define the terms and conditions, but you have to make it easier for the other party. You cannot be just very selfish. And the best part of this contract, what Musa alayhi salam said was, our witness is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witnessing, he is watching. He knows what is inside in the heart, what are the intentions, and he knows what the person is even revealing. So it becomes an unbinding commitment, because when you make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a witness and you are aware that yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, by the way, even if you say it or not, you're making a contract or a promise, yeah, I will do it. But that, yeah, I will do it is being witnessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are conscious in your life that whenever you make a commitment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, so you better not be lying, because if you are a true practicing Muslim, if you are a believer, you would know that yes, if I'm making a contract with an ill intention or I won't do it, I'm just saying, yeah, I will do it, or don't worry, yes, it will be done. If you're saying this, then on the day of judgment, you will be held accountable. And a Muslim will always keep this in mind. So there are two amazing lessons coming out from this contract between the father of those daughters and Musa alayhi salam. Number one is we should try to make it easy for each other. We should not try to squeeze each other out of in the contracts, right? Number one. Number two, we should always remember, we say it or we don't say it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a witness over everything that we are committing, all promises that we are making. And as Muslims, we have been asked to honor our commitments repeatedly. And this is one of those occasions as well. So we should always remember this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching and he is witnessing everything that we are doing. Moving forward, last 5-6 ayahs for today, inshallah. Yeah, we are a bit over time. So those of you who want to drop, maybe you can drop and we will try to upload the recording of the class, inshallah. But I need to complete these 5-6 ayahs. فَلَمَّا قَضَى مُوسَى الْأَجَلَ وَسَارَ بِأَهْلِهِ آنَسَ مِنْ جَانِبِ الطُّورِ نَارًا. Now what happened is, the term of the agreement completed. Then when Musa fulfilled the term and he was traveling with his family, so now Musa alayhi salam is trying to travel and come back. So it's been maybe 8 years, 10 years, that is not told here. But the point is, now the term is completed. It's a long amount of time. Now Musa alayhi salam is trying to return to Egypt with his family. So then when Musa fulfilled the term and was traveling with his family, he saw in the direction of Mount Tur a fire. So he saw above the mountain, there was a fire. And at that point in time, fire could mean a resource, like he could use that for heating, or it could also mean that there are people over there. He could ask them for help or direction or confirm, because in those times traveling was really difficult, right? They're traversing through the mountains, traversing through that terrain. So they would always look out for a fire or something or other people who can help them. قال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بخير أو جزوة من النار لعلكم تصطلون. He said to his family, stay here. Indeed, I perceive a fire. Perhaps I will bring you some information about if we are going in the right direction, or burning wood from the fire so that we can warm ourselves, so we can get some benefit. Now, this is the point in time when Musa alayhi salam is getting his revelation directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Earlier, all of the things that we saw with his mother or with the wife of Firaun and the Firaun himself, those inspirations, those things that put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in their hearts. And that's how they and that's how Allah SWT shaped up the entire plan. Now Musa alayhi salam is about to get the direct revelation, and we know Musa alayhi salam was the only prophet who used to directly talk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was a direct conversation. There was no angel or messenger in between, right? So this was a direct conversation. So this account is about to unfold in front of us. فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا نُودِيَ مِنْ شَاطِئِ تِيِّ الْوَادِي أَيْمَنِ في البقعة المباركة من الشجرة أن يا موسى إني أنا الله رب العالمين. But when he came to it, when he came closer to the fire, he was called from the side of the valley, the right side in the valley, and in the place even blessed from the tree, that, O Musa, indeed I am Allah, the Lord of the world. So this is a voice that he hears as soon as he goes closer to that place. This is the first revelation to Musa alayhi salam directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنْ أَلْقِي عَصَاكَ, and that throw your staff. Now this is the miracles that now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to Musa alayhi salam. And we know that in those days people used to carry that stick that was called asa, or it's like a stick that is used for different purposes, for walking, even to to hunt, or to draw leaves for the cattle, multiple uses of that stick, and it's called the asa, and it's very famous, the stick or asa of Musa alayhi salam. And why is it famous? Because of this miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is about to give him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, throw your stick to the ground. فَلَمَّا رَآهَا تَهْتَزُّ كَأَنَّهَا جَانٌّ وَلَّا مُدْبِرًا وَلَمْ يُعَقِّبْ. So what happened is, but when he saw it moving as if it were a snake, so as soon as he threw his stick on the ground, it started to move like a snake. And Musa alayhi salam became afraid, and he started to run, and he did not return. So he started to run in a direction, run back, because he did not know what's happening. He heard a sound and then from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he threw his stick, it turned into a snake, so he got afraid and he started to run. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him again now. Ya Musa, aqbil wala takhaf. O Musa, draw near and do not fear. Come back, do not be fearful. Innaka minal aminin. Indeed, you are secure. You don't have to worry, you don't have to be afraid. Then comes the second miracle to Musa alayhi salam. Usluk yadaka fi jaybika takhruj baydaa min ghayri su. Insert your right hand in your bosom or in your chest. It will come forth white without any harm. So Musa alayhi salam was given another miracle, that when he put his hand here and then when he brought it out, it was glowing white. This was again a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَزْمُمْ إِلَيْكَ جَنَاحَكَ مِنَ الرَّحْبِ فَذَانِكَ بُرْهَانَانِ مِنْ رَبِّكَ إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَائِهِ. And draw to yourself your hand against fear. So these are two evidences from your Lord to Firaun and his chiefs. Innahum kanu qawman fasiqeen. Indeed, they are a people who are defiantly disobedient. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving a mission, a challenge to Musa alayhi salam to go to Firaun and his chiefs, and they are the ones who are they're doing mischief, and they are oppressing Bani Israel. Go to them and declare La ilaha illallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a Rabb of the worlds, as the Lord of the worlds. And they are the people who are defiantly disobedient. You have to now take this message to them. قال ربي إني قتلت منهم نفسا فأخاف أن يقتلون. Now Musa alayhi salam was afraid, because he's going to the same place where he's asked to go to the same place openly and challenge Firaun and his chiefs, and he knows that he had killed a person over there. He said, My Lord, indeed I killed one of the men, and I feared that they will kill me because I had already killed one of their men. وَأَخِي هَارُونُ هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْ أَن يُصَدِّقُنِي إِنِّي أَخَافُ أَن يُكَذِّبُونِ. And my brother Harun, alayhi salam, he is more eloquent, meaning he speaks better. He has a fluent tongue. We know that Musa alayhi salam had this some issue in speaking clearly. So, which is why his dua, Rabbi Shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, make it easy for me to speak in front of them. This is the dua that he made as well, as we went through the story in the previous surahs as well. So he asked Allah SWT, my brother Harun, he is more eloquent, meaning he can speak more clearly in speech, and this is the task of explaining to them and convincing them. So send him with me as a helper who will confirm me. Indeed, I fear that they will deny me in that. So he said that the way I'm speaking, so let me bring my brother Harun alayhi salam as well, and he's well spoken. So maybe he'll be able to convince him with me as well. Now, this is again a message and last message for today before we go to the last ayah. And this is a timeless lesson on how to work as a team. So this is again Musa alayhi salam is giving us a corporate lesson. When they talk about teamwork, Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his brother Harun alayhi salam with him, as he's more eloquent, to convince Fir'aun and chiefs. What does this tell you about teamwork and leadership? Anyone, whatever comes to your mind. He wants to operate as a team. How? What is Musa alayhi salam doing? Anyone? Anything that comes to your mind? Yes, Aziz, go ahead.
Musa alayhi salam wanted, like, Harun alayhi, it was kind of like they were the perfect team. Like Musa alayhi salam's weaknesses, like Harun alayhi salam didn't have Musa alayhi salam's weaknesses. It's like they're like two puzzle pieces, because where Musa alayhi salam was lacking, Harun alayhi salam had that ability. So together they formed a team in which they can achieve a lot more, because two bodies, two brains, two people is better than one. Like in the end, if you manage your things correctly.
Brilliant answer. Jazakallah khairan, Aziz. Sayyid, yes, go ahead.
Like Aziz said, they both filled each other's gaps. One thing that Musa alayhi salam lacked, Harun alayhi salam helped on it, and something that Harun alayhi salam lacked, that Musa alayhi salam helped on it.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sayyid as well.
Also,
Brilliant answers. Yes, sorry.
Also, they were both brothers, so it was more easier for them to work together.
Yes, brilliant answers. Jazakumullah khairan. Exactly. And the point is, even today, when you look at any corporate setup, or if you're in a company, or if you're in a business, or if you're trying to work with people, this really works for you. Because the point is, you don't need to have all the skills to deliver a task. You don't need to know everything. Maybe you're working, let's say, in a company, and there are different functions and divisions. There is, let's say, I don't know, operations or sales or commercial or marketing or supply chain, HR, finance. You don't need to. But when a company and when people in a company, they work together as a team, that's how they bring in their own skill sets. So this is an amazing lesson. Musa alayhi salam said, I want to team up with Harun. He is more eloquent. He can speak really well. He can explain what I'm trying to say as well. He can confirm what I'm saying as well. So this is an amazing lesson on leadership for leaders and for teamwork, because not each team member needs to have all the best set of skills for the team to win. No, you need to identify strengths in your team. Who's good at what? Who can do really well? This can also work in university projects. It can also work in school combined homework. It can work in everything that, especially when you're trying to work together. Even if you are planning something personal like a picnic or a party or whatever, and you are trying to go together with people, you can say, okay, who can do what, who will do what, right? Who wants to do what, and who's good at what. So that's how, so I think this is an amazing lesson and a timeless lesson that is coming as part of leadership, as part of teamwork, that can be used in our professional and personal lives as well. Identify strengths of people, let them bring it together, and then you win together as a team. Moving forward. Last ayah for today. Alhamdulillah, we managed to complete our lessons. My apologies of going a bit over time. Qala sanashuddu azukaka bi akhika wa naj'alu lakuma sultanan fala yasiluna ilaykuma bi ayatina. He said, we will strengthen your arm through your brother. So this was a response from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will give you that strength. We will bring your brother by the side. We will strengthen your arm through your brother, and we'll make both of you an authority. So they will not be able to reach both of you, meaning they will not be able to harm both of you. Through our signs, you two and those who follow you will be the dominant ones. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already given 2 miracles to Musa alayhi salam. Now they are going as a team with Harun alayhi salam as well, joining him. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, those people, the 2 of you, and those people who follow you, your companions who become partner in this mission, they are the ones who will be eventually dominant in front of Pharaoh and his chiefs and his army and all of them, whatever they are trying to do. This marks the end of today's lesson. Very quickly, we will go through the key actions. Number 1 was Pharaoh exalted himself in the land, Pharaoh and his chiefs. And they divided people in sects to suppress one of them, and the oppressed ones were the ones who were Bani Israel. So they separated themselves from them. And we know Bani Israel's population was larger than them. In order to oppress and suppress a larger population, you have to take away their rights and do cruelties to them. We know they were killing their sons, leaving their daughters. All of that we discussed. And the point was to continue oppressing them. And the lesson that we took actually from that was, as Muslims, we have to be united. And we went through the story of the sticks and the concept of the sticks and the bundle. Individual stick can easily be broken. The entire bundle, when they join together, it's difficult to be broken. So if we combine together as Muslim Ummah, it is very difficult to break us. And versus, going individually for any cause, and then you can be easily broken. So this is one of the critical lessons for us, that we have to be united as Muslim Ummah and see the bigger cause of Muslims. Musa alayhi salam made a mistake. This is the second action for us. Musa alayhi salam made a mistake. He killed a person, and although his intention was pure, immediately he sought help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Immediately he sought forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is an amazing dua that is a gift from Musa alayhi salam, even for all of us when we make mistakes. Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi faghfirli. My Lord, indeed I have wronged my soul, so forgive me. This is a prayer that we need to pray. Shaitan will put waswasa in our mind. Oh, you have made a mistake, you're such a bad person, don't go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot, you don't deserve. All of this is just waswasa from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to, even if we keep on making mistakes, we have to keep going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try our best not to repeat those mistakes. Another action that came again from Musa alayhi salam, and an inspiration for us, is even in that situation when he desperately needed help, and he went on to help the woman at the water well, and he helped them to give water to their cattle. He did not ask them for support or anything. He turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sought goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he relied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala versus asking them as a first source, right? So this is a lesson from us. Whenever we are in a tough situation, we should pray directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek his help versus going to people. And yes, later on after that, we can utilize the network and resources all around us to make things work. But our source of goodness is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should be clear on this fact. Muslims should go easy on each other in contracts. Again, the contract between the father of the daughters and Musa alayhi salam, again, is an inspiration. Both of them tried to make it easy for each other. And there were 2 points that we noted. Number 1 was, we have to make it easy for each other. We don't have to squeeze the other party. We don't have to put clauses that make it difficult for the other party. No. As Muslims, we should make it easy. And number 2, if we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witnessing, even if we say it or not say it, we will be more binding to the contract. We have to be conscious. As practicing Muslims, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching over all our commitments, and on the day of judgment, we will be held accountable. And this is exactly what Musa alayhi salam also said, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be witness over what we are discussing and making a contract. 2 amazing inspirations for us whenever entering into a contract. And then we went through a lesson on teamwork from Musa alayhi salam as well. He realized the strength of his brother as Harun alayhi salam. He was more eloquent, meaning he was speaking really well, convincing. So when Allah SWT gave the task to Musa alayhi salam to go to Firaun and convince his chiefs and everything, he asked for Harun alayhi salam to also be with him. So this is again a timeless lesson on teamwork and leadership for us, that we don't have to be really good at all the skills to deliver a task. We need to identify strengths within our team, who are the people who can do the job well, and then the combined way the team can win. This can be applied in our professional lives, this can be applied in our personal lives, whenever planning anything or working with people. This marks the end of today's lesson, Alhamdulillah. Are there any comments, any points before we close today's class? Okay. Subhanallahi wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Purity belongs to Allah and all praise be to Him. Purity belongs to you, O Allah, and all praise be to you. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides you, and I beg forgiveness from you, and I repent before you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Inshallah, I will see you same time next week.
Alaikum assalam.